You can take all the prebiotics, probiotics you want. If you're not properly hydrated and the electrical potential in your gut is not correct, the bacteria that should be in your gut will never be able to create communities.
Welcome to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, the podcast for high achievers who want to stay sharp, focused, and full of energy despite their diagnosis. With your host, National Board Certified Functional Medicine Health Coach, Julie Michelson, where Julie helps you take your power back from autoimmunity. And now here's your host, Julie Michelson.
Welcome back to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast. I'm your host, Julie Houghton, and today we're joined by Dr. Paul Barattiero, who is a pioneering advocate for molecular hydrogen therapy with over 2 decades of experience in the health and wellness industry. His life's mission is to spread awareness of how hydrogen water can enhance the quality of life and support health. In today's conversation, we're discussing how incorporating hydrogen water into your wellness routine can help you heal by supporting gut health, neutralizing harmful free radicals, and mitigating oxidative stress and inflammation. Paul, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
I'm so excited for this. I'm such a fan of hydrogen water in general and what Echo is doing. But first and foremost, I want for listeners to get to know a little bit about your journey, because I know, this diving into hydrogen wasn't necessarily your life's plan.
Definitely not. I talk a lot about this. Most everyone asks, how did you know about this? Because you were the first to ever do this. It was 20 years ago. How the heck did you know? And so I tell people it was an accident. It was almost an accident. And I'm not some brilliant, amazing individual who planned this out strategically and was like, oh my gosh, I want to create a hydrogen water company. It really happened out of necessity. My wife, my queen, the love of my life, was sick. I've been married 31 years, my wife and I, and the first 10 years of our marriage, she was progressively getting worse. And I would put it back to birth control. When we got married, I told her, I will wear a condom. Please don't use birth control. And unfortunately, she didn't listen, and she took birth control. And within 4 months of getting married, she gained 60 pounds. So that started off a process for the first 10 years of our marriage. She had thyroid issues. She had gynecological issues. She had anemia. She had everything you could think of that was going wrong. And I literally was like, oh crap. I don't know that she is going to make it. And so here we are 31 years later, and she is amazing, looks amazing, feels, so it is what it is. But that's really, Echo Water is a result of healing my wife from anemia, from adenomyosis, from hypothyroid, from gynecological issues, and on it goes. Short-term brain issues because of, mercury in her system that, caused yeast to go in the brain, which is pretty typical. So anyways, I was in the diabetes world at the time. I was definitely not in the gynecological world. And so I had to learn all these things. I had to figure it out because someone who I loved very much needed my help.
Yeah, amazing. At what point did you realize, holy cow, we have to share this with the world?
Yeah. Well, as soon as she was feeling better, quite honestly, I'm like,
yeah,
I bet you there's a lot of husbands who have no idea, and a lot of people who have issues and they don't know what to do with it. And for sure, when I figured out it was hydrogen, and it changed her life so dramatically, I was like, there is no one else on the earth that is telling this story, that is talking about it. And just for fun, after my wife was helped, I gave the water that we had developed to someone who had diabetes. And within 3 to 5 days, their glucose levels were normal. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. And at that time, I owned a shoe company that Medicare was paying for shoes every year for people with diabetes because it was the proper size. And so and there were insoles that would spread pressure so they wouldn't get decubitus ulcers and therefore amputation. And I thought, well, that's really good. We've reduced amputations in the United States by 65% in 15 years. However, if we can change the disease model, that's even better, right? That got me very passionate about this. And so the rest is history now, but literally, I didn't understand at the time how important gut health was and that all disease stems from gut dysfunction. I didn't understand that. And, it just took me on a path that has become my life's work. And I love it and I'm passionate about it. And I get to talk about my wife all the time.
I hear you talk about your wife all the time. And so it's fun as somebody who's a fairly newlywed. So we are on round 2. We've been together a long time, and it's nice to hear someone who's been married 31 years say such beautiful things about his wife and value that relationship so much.
Here we are.
Yeah, his bride. Love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful family. So,
thank you.
I want you to kind of give us a little bit of a hydrogen 101, if you will, of like why hydrogen, what is going on. And we're going to, we won't dive deeply into the gut part, but of course we have to talk about it because it is where autoimmunity began. And so, what is going on with why do we need hydrogen? Just share with us a little bit.
Yeah. So to understand that, we need to understand a couple core principles. First of all, our body is carbon hydrogen chains. If we really understand the makeup of our body, 63% of our body is hydrogen. Now, mostly that hydrogen is bound to water molecules, proteins, carbohydrates, and so it's not available to function as hydrogen gas. But hydrogen is so critical. Like something as simple as stomach acid, right? HCl. You can't make it without the H.
Without the H.
Hydrogen. So from a very fundamental perspective, we require hydrogen in the body to function the way we are designed to function. So hydrogen, in fact, is so critical that we have a hydrogen generator built into our body. And that is when we ferment food, which that's how we digest. We ferment foods in our colon. They're just like a car has a tailpipe. We have a tailpipe. Just like there's gases that come out of your car, carbon monoxide, when you process fuel for energy. When we ferment foods, we end up with gases coming out of our tailpipe. And one of those gases is hydrogen and methane and things like this. But we'll talk about hydrogen. We should be producing 10 to 12 liters of hydrogen gas per day if we had a properly functioning gut with the proper bacteria. So let's unpack that a little bit. There are 2 main types of bacteria, aerobic and anaerobic. And I'm going to oversimplify this for today's conversation.
Thank you.
But we have aerobic and we have anaerobic. 96 to 99% of the bacteria in the gut should be anaerobic microflora. And only 1 to 4% should be aerobic. Now, let's talk about what they do, because these are bacteria, and bacteria have a role in our body. And we need to understand that role, because we hear gut dysfunction. We hear leaky gut. We hear all these crazy terms that really mean nothing, because what is leaky gut? You have something going down your leg? I don't think so. Like, we do understand this is an open system. When you go to the bathroom, you're not unlocking some door. It is an open system and stuff comes out of you. So what is leaky gut? I don't even understand the term. What we need to understand is that a gut dysfunction means you have the wrong terrain and therefore the wrong bacteria. And what we have to understand is that bacteria can what? Digest certain types of foods or not. So aerobic bacteria likes carbs and sugar. Anaerobic likes fatty acids and fiber. If you really think about that, 96 to 99% of gut bacteria should be bacteria that want fat and fiber. That should tell you what you should be eating. It's only 1 to 4% of the bacteria should be carbs and sugar, because that should be a highlight, a fun thing, not a staple diet. And so what really happens is these bacteria need a terrain to live in. So what creates that terrain? It's electrical potential. Bacteria thrive on electrical potential. So the tissue of the gut can have a positive or a negative electrical potential. We want a negative electrical potential for the anaerobic microflora. In fact, studies show that anaerobic microflora, strict anaerobes, need a negative 300 to a negative 400 millivolts to have the perfect environment for them. And here's the problem. Aerobes want a positive electrical charge.
Sure.
So the truth be known, if we take an antibiotic, overuse. So if we overuse antibiotics, and what do I mean by that? Antibiotics get a bad rap, but antibacterial or antibiotics are life-sustaining in a bacterial infection. If you have a life-sustaining bacterial infection, you should take an antibiotic to help you live. However, if you have a virus or you have something else, it's going to do nothing but destroy your gut, and it's a waste of your time. So if you have a bacterial infection that's harming you, definitely take antibiotics and let's heal your gut after the fact.
Right.
If you do not have a life-threatening bacterial infection, do not take an antibiotic. Doesn't matter what the doctor tells you to do. Do something else to fix your virus. Go to sleep. Get some chicken noodle soup. Viruses are going to take their course. And if you bolster your system, your immune function is what you need for that. But it does give you a workout for your immune function, which is healthy to do on an annual basis. So that's one thing to understand, because when we take an antibiotic, you're going to change the terrain to a positive electrical potential. And all of your anaerobic microflora, which should be the majority, will no longer have a home. Therefore, your cravings will become carbs and sugar, and you will have anxiety and depression because of the bacteria that's in your gut, not because you have a problem with depression or you have a problem with anxiety or you like sugar and carbs. It's because the bacteria in your gut, that's what they can consume. Have you ever met someone who eats a salad and has diarrhea? They're like, I'm so frustrated. I'm eating what people are saying is healthy, and I just have diarrhea. Guess what? You don't have bacteria to process fiber, so you will have diarrhea. You have bacteria that wants to process carbs and sugar, not a salad. So we have to change the terrain. And the beautiful thing is the very gas that your gut should be producing is what can heal your gut. We can literally have someone drink the water, and in 2 weeks, gluten and dairy intolerance is gone. And therefore, you have healed or restored your terrain. How are we doing that? Well, I gave you a secret a minute ago, which is the bacteria that should be in your gut wants a negative electrical potential. And if you have a positive, they're never going to grow, thrive, create communities. You can take all the prebiotics, probiotics you want. If you're not properly hydrated and the electrical potential in your gut is not correct, they will never be able to create communities. You have to give them the environment that they can live in. You could tell me, I'm going to love living in the desert. I'm going to say, no, thanks. I would like to live in a different environment in a home. I don't want to live out in the sand. So the bacteria are the same. They're like, no, I don't want that environment, and I'm not going to live well. I can never create a community with a bunch of friends doing what we're supposed to be doing. So how do we create that with the water? Water coming out of Our devices, all of them have a negative 400 to a negative 600 millivolts of electrical potential. When you drink that water within the first hour, and then definitely within 2 weeks, you are bathing your intestinal tract with the proper electrical potential, and you're now changing the terrain and the biome to be suitable for anaerobic microflora. So we can heal the gut. Now, when you heal the gut, everything else is working properly. Because
I say all the time, listeners know, like, if you're listening to this podcast, you have gut issues. Like, by the time you have that chronic inflammation, whether it's autoimmunity, you mentioned cancer, any of it, diabetes, especially, type 2, all of it. I kind of was like, I remember back when we really started to realize how integral gut health was to all of this. And I the first year or so that I was I was like, oh, come on. I was like rolling my eyes like, oh, it's the gut. And now I'm like, oh, it is the gut. I want to clarify too. So tell us a little bit about the water, because I've had so many people say, are you changing it? Is it still water? Is it, I know the answer because I've heard you talk enough, but,
it's a great question. People are confused. And probably the number one question we get is, hydrogen water. Isn't hydrogen already in water? And I understand the question, because of course, you're going to ask that question. Well, let's unpack that a little bit. H2O is water, but it is no longer gas. Water is a liquid. Hydrogen and oxygen are gases. But when you combine those two gases, they form a liquid. They are no longer gases. So you can no longer say, well, oxygen is going to do what oxygen does and hydrogen is going to do what hydrogen, because you've created a new thing called water. And that's what we need to understand. So hydrogen water simply means three things. A, you have a water molecule. Mm-hmm. B, you have dissolved H2 gas into that water. It doesn't combine. It doesn't create a new molecule. It's like a person who sits in a car. They don't become part of the car. They're still there.
Oh, I like that analogy.
When you get to your destination, they all get out, okay? You're in a vehicle because it takes you somewhere. We are using water as a vehicle to deliver H2 gas to the body. That's what hydrogen water is. It doesn't change pH because we don't want to change pH.
Yeah.
There's no benefit to the human body for drinking a solution that has high or low pH. It's all nonsense science. Stomach acid will buffer the pH in seconds. So don't worry about the pH of liquids. What we want is hydrogen gas and a negative electrical potential. That's what's going to help your gut. And if we help your gut, we're helping your immune function. And that's one of the greatest things we do. 70% of your immune function is tied to the bacteria in your gut. So having the right bacteria boosts your immune function and all your antioxidant pathways. And that's where the oxidation is managed properly. That's where the inflammation is managed properly. That's where your mitochondrial function is managed, because if you eat too much carbs and sugar, you're going to have reactive oxygen species that will become hydroxyl radicals, which is the most cell-damaging radical in the human body. We don't want those things. We don't want people sugar and carb loading. We want the body to produce ATP in the mitochondria, so you don't need to be spiking your life with sugar constantly and hitting a turbo button all the time. You should have normal, wonderful energy to do whatever you want all the time without having to eat sugar.
Absolutely true. I tell people all the time as they're shifting diet, because almost everybody that I meet, unless they've already been doing a lot of work, they're totally carb addicted, again, because they have this imbalance. And I use that as the kind of a driver for change of yes, you're going to have cravings in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's not you. So
Right.
so decide not to feed them. So
Right.
we can
Yes.
create the change.
And you might just feel like crap for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Should people expect, because there's so much I want to talk about. Like I would deep dive on the inflammation. Well, we know we have to heal the gut, and then we get this ripple effect, right? We can just break that inflammatory cycle. Like you said, it's this selective antioxidant. It's so somebody who is listening to this, who perhaps hasn't even gone down the diet change pathway, or maybe they've made, various healthy lifestyle changes. When they start to incorporate hydrogen water into their healing regimen, do they expect disrupt? Like to me, and actually I just had a good friend ask me, she's like, because she recently got an Echo Flask. And she was like, I have some like GI upset. Do you think it's, and I'm like, well, you're changing your balance in your microbiome. So is there like an expected disruption or not really?
It's pretty rare.
Okay.
The only thing is she could have some SIBO that is hydrogen-based SIBO.
Gotcha.
If it's methane-based SIBO, no issue. If it's hydrogen-based, she could have some inflammation, because what SIBO really is the right bacteria too far north.
In the wrong place. Yep.
That's right. So and those bacteria like hydrogen, it becomes their energy source, just like H. pylori.
Right.
They like hydrogen. It's an energy source for them. So if you have SIBO that is hydrogen-based SIBO, which is not everyone, even if you have SIBO, you have methane or hydrogen. If you have hydrogen-based SIBO or hydrogen-seeking SIBO, then you need to start out with smaller amounts of the water.
Gotcha.
As your gut restores, it'll change the bacteria. And what I tell people, because people say, well, how did I get SIBO in the first place? I'm healthy. I'm this, I'm that. And I'll say, do you water fast or do you do dry fasting? And they're like, yeah. And I said, have you ever broken your fast with fermented foods? And they're like, yeah, I did. I said, that's where you got SIBO. That's it. Well, I should say that's where you would easily get SIBO, because if you break your fast with fermented foods, it's going to react in the small intestine way too fast. And it's a problem. And they're like, oh my gosh. I said, yeah, you really want to break a fast with broths or something simpler. And be careful, because you've gone without food and now you're going to put something rich or something in your system. Just be careful of that. But if you do have SIBO, there are protocols with essential oils. There's other protocols. I mean, there are protocols with antibiotics that you can take to do that. And the good news is, if you use antibiotic, then you start drinking the water right after that and build your gut back up in 2 weeks, and you're golden. Yeah. So
if you can use these intentional.
Tools, sure. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. Amazing. So I'm married to a physician, and we have a clinic. And so we do a lot of lab testing, right? A lot of thorough lab testing with people. It's one of the places, especially for my autoimmune clients that have been struggling for years. I like to I call it looking under all the rocks. So we know what we're dealing with. Yeah. I know anecdotally, like we had a patient who all of a sudden, her cardiac panel looked so much better. And she said the only thing she had changed was she added hydrogen water in, right? Her oxidative stress was down. So we've seen that for the lab geek, because I care mostly about how you feel, right? Because to me, the labs tend to lag a little behind. Yeah. And I know there's so many anecdotal, so many, I'm sure you get all kinds of feedback all the time from, my this got better, my that got better. Anything trackable or testable that people, and again, I say that with a little bit of, like, I always take it with a grain of salt. When my rheumatoid arthritis was destructive and active, my C-reactive protein was always normal. Right.
Yeah.
So I was one of those people that my
Yeah.
labs didn't, I
Right.
was the,
Didn't match.
labs are fine. Labs are fine.
Yeah.
But are there testable? I know there's how many studies have been done to date?
1,500.
1,500. Yeah. This is not new science. It's just secret science.
And the big fun thing to know is the earliest studies we found are 1888.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So 150 years of research, 40 plus proven benefits, 200 disease models. And the reason why we have so many disease models is because disease is a result of the combination of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. So hydrogen reduces oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. So we would assume and expect that all pathology would be affected. And even though we don't say this is a cure for such and such, we're just saying hydrogen reduces or modulates oxidative stress to where oxidation is present. We need oxidation to live, but we do not need oxidative stress. We don't need inflammation chronically. We need inflammation when needed for injury or a reaction in the body, but chronic inflammation is a problem. And that's definitely where RA comes from.
Sure.
And we have great studies on RA, but we have 123 studies on cancer. We have 77 studies on diabetes. We have 22 on Parkinson's. We've got studies on Alzheimer's, colitis, every gut issue you could imagine, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, bipolar, schizophrenia, on it goes. And people just need to understand that if they had hydrogen, they wouldn't have this disease in the first place. And you can restore gut function, and trust me, you will feel that and you will feel good. And it is nice. And I don't care what people eat. The good news is eat whatever the flip you want to eat. But locally, it's a varied diet. And I eat ice cream, I eat dairy, I eat gluten, I eat whatever the heck I want, and I feel amazing all the time. But that's because that's what you're supposed to be able to do. And should I be eating ice cream at every meal? Heavens no. Should I be eating? No, it's common sense what we should be eating. Mm-hmm. And that's fiber and fats. We should be eating a diet that is naturally occurring foods, what we call whole foods and vegetables and things.
Right. But we should also be resilient. Like I remember, and I think it's a typical part of the healing journey. When I started to heal and I found out, I was fat deprived so when I found what I needed to be eating, including and avoiding to feel well, I stayed in that little box probably way too long, held onto it way too tightly, aimed for perfection, right? And I remember, my now husband used to say all the time, but you should be resilient. You should be. Real health is resilient.
That's right.
Now, I have celiac, so I'm not going to ever try to eat gluten. Like for me, it was somebody with celiac.
Even in Italy?
I'm just not, and I know people with celiac that go to Italy and can do it. I'm not brave enough to potentially ruin my trip.
Got it.
They have really, really good gluten-free food in Italy. So, and they actually take it really seriously.
Well, you don't even need gluten-free fruit over there. But what we need to understand is that the pesticides and the chemicals that we put in our food is where the problem is. It is not gluten. We've been eating gluten for thousands of years on this planet with no issues. It is the chemicals. And clearly there are individuals like my queen that are more susceptible to those chemicals damaging her. And I will say that she
dabbles
can, because of the water, eat gluten and not have a problem.
Good for her.
But she feels a bit better when she doesn't. And so we can go over to Europe, which we do, and she can eat anything she wants, and it's great. So I would just say that someday we'll have food that's actually food, and we'll have appropriate.
As we move back toward real food, and I say that all the time here. Like the wheat in this country, not only is it higher gluten, it's all been modified.
That's right.
I mean, the last thing they do when they harvest it is spray it with more glyphosate to dry it out.
Right. That's
so
right.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So I probably 90% of my diet is organic, non-GMO in my life, just because. And then when I go travel, I eat whatever the flip I want. And
Right.
there's no way to know because
You can't
I
control it
haven't
when you're
gotten to
out.
that point. Yeah, well, there are some people I know that are friends of mine that won't eat if there's not some, and I just haven't gotten there yet because I don't have the effects that they have when
But
they
you
eat that
feel
way.
well.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
You feel
yeah,
well. I
because
mean,
my body, yeah, I can handle it. My gut is working wonderful, and luckily, I'm a 53-year-old person who has no health challenges, and so but I've been drinking hydrogen water for 20 years. But the reality for me is, I do not eat a lot of sugar, but I do enjoy eating it when I have a moment to do that, and
right.
so it is what it is. I do think diversity is good. I think it's good to eat Mediterranean food. I think it's good to eat every kind of food you can imagine
Right.
because believe it or not, your gut needs that workout. You actually don't want to be on a mono diet. However, there are some people that have to. And so I'm not talking bad about you or saying don't. Do what you
Right.
need to do
Listen to
to
your
live your
body.
life. Yes.
Yeah.
But get the water and drink Echo water. Don't buy some cheap thing that's a scam hydrogen product, which is 99% of the products on the market. Get a real evidence-based, certified, third-party certified hydrogen product, which is Echo. We're the largest company in the world. We're the original company. And then enjoy your life some more so you don't have toileting problems. You don't have to be worried about going out in public and having a bathroom issue. I'm telling you, my wife was there. I know what it's like when she has an accident years ago. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Unless you bring another set of clothes with you, it
Even
is.
still, nobody, no adult
Nobody
wants
that. So
yeah.
trust me, and I don't want to share that without my wife's permission. She's given me permission. But
So
the point, yeah, just threw her under the bus, right? But no, the reality is,
and right. So I love that.
Listen, we have issues. I have, I trust me. Life is life, and everything happens, the good, bad, and the ugly. But I'm simply saying my desire in life is for you, whoever's listening to me right now and listening to us. I want you to accomplish and live your divine potential. I believe you have a divine potential. And I want you to live that. I want you to be able to get up in the morning and have energy and go do what you need to do and live the best life you can live, because it's what I want for everyone. Yeah. I don't want you to feel fatigue all the time. I don't want you to feel like crap all the time.
Right.
I want you to feel good. And so we'll solve every problem. Not. But for many of you, it will. People like my wife, it solved 85%.
That's amazing.
And then we had to go help her with the methylation issues. We had to go help her with some other things.
I'm glad you said that.
It helped her. Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't like it's a magic cure. But I will tell you, my wife is so sensitive, her gut, and she's not a good patient. My wife's not. If she was sitting right here, I would say the same thing. She's not compliant, which is why she's got the issues that she does. She stays up too late at night.
Right.
She thinks going to bed at 1 a.m. is healthy, and she doesn't want to miss. She's got FOMO. So the reality is, if I can ever get her to get 10 hours of sleep, we could really, she'd be even better.
Right.
But
so this is a real needle mover as you are incorporating a healthy lifestyle all around. Again, we're not talking about perfection. We're talking about, we need to sleep. We need to move. Those that are like me, sounds like a lot like your wife. I call myself a collector. I do between, lead and mercury and mycotoxins.
Oh,
you name it,
she grew up in LA. Just drinking the water gets you those 4 things.
Yeah. Amazing that I feel.
Yeah.
I always say, I talk about divine purpose, right? I know I'm meant to be doing this because I shouldn't have been able to even start to heal without addressing my actual underlying causes. So I think that's the important thing for people to understand is we need, and you mentioned those key words, right? Like we need something to move that needle, to give us the energy, to help reduce the inflammation, increase the tolerance. I feel like now, ever since 2020, there's even more reactive gut,
Yeah.
allergies,
100%.
sensitivities, histamine
100%.
problems. And so everybody should be drinking clean water anyway.
Oh, that is a given. That's
And
a
so
given. Yeah.
I get two questions a lot that I want to ask you, in particular about the flask, because I'm a huge fan of the flask.
Thank you.
I am blessed. I now realize that I love water. Some people, it's like it's hard to get them to drink water.
Sure.
So I love this because I travel with it. I definitely, we were excited to start carrying the flask in the clinic. But the two questions I get are, one, and I already know the answer. I'm just asking. So I get it enough. Some people really, they like that kind of protocol. Like, well, how many am I supposed to be drinking? And 3 to 6. And I heard you say maybe start slow if you're somebody who, but is 3 a day enough? Does it matter if they're spread out? Give us a little direction.
Yeah. So I would say 3 a day is great. 6 is even better. And definitely let's mimic the human body. We would eat 3 times a day. We would have farting 3 times a day. We would create flatulence 3 times a day. So let's drink this spread out during the day. Let's say you do 3 to 6 a day, spread out. For many of you, try not to drink it late at night. It will help your sleep, but if you drink it right before bed, you might have to get up and pee during the night. So try to drink, an hour or 2 before you're going to bed to finish your drinking, but drink throughout the day and have better energy, have, mitochondrial function, gut function, brain function, all these kind of things that you want to have. That's what this is going to do. And so, you don't have to be perfect. You don't only have to drink Echo water. You can drink other types of water. Make sure that they're filtered. I always say, don't be a filter, buy a filter.
I like that.
So don't create your body or don't make your body filter out all the crap. Get it filtered before it goes in. It's a lot easier to filter water and have the contaminants out than it is to bring it in your body. Please don't ever drink tap water. Asking them, is this tap water or are you getting this at least from the Coke machine? Big secret. There's a filter. There's a carbon filter in the Coke machine. And if you can get them to give you water from that, at least it has some filtering.
Yeah.
So at least that.
You can pour this out and drink it out of a glass, correct? Correct. I just always have my flask with me.
Yeah. Well, I do. And you got 2 hours to drink it. Once you pour it into a glass, you got 2 hours. And so that's wonderful. Here's the deal. This was created for 2 people, skeptical people and people that travel. So once you are no longer skeptical because you're like, oh my gosh, this has changed my life. We have a pitcher that makes a half a gallon in 10 minutes. We have an undersink system that's reverse osmosis and a hydrogen unit that'll make a 1/4 gallon a minute so that you don't have to wait 10 minutes for 12 ounces. But this is amazing for travel. It's amazing for skeptical people who are like, I don't know if it sounds really good, but I don't know if it's going to change my life as much as you say. Listen, 15 cents a day. That's what this costs you. And if you divide that out by 6, you do understand it's like 2 or 3 cents per drink. That is 1,000,000 times better than a tablet that costs you $1 per use. This makes no sense. Right. This makes sense. If you were to do for the 5 years you're going to have this, that's $1,500 in tablets for just one time a day. If you use 6 tablets a day, imagine you're going to have $7,000 in 5 years. I'm just telling you, this is what you want to get, and you don't want to go on Alibaba or Amazon and buy crappy bottles because they make chlorine, not hydrogen. Trust me.
Well,
invest in yourself.
One to my best friend, and she's one of those. She doesn't drink out of it. She pours it into a glass, and then she makes a glass for her husband. And so they're actually, because he would never buy one. But here's the other thing I hear all the time, and I understand why, but I would want to address, because it's such a beautiful too. Like the design is so slick and great.
Yeah, thank you.
It is not glass.
Right.
I understand why it can't be glass, but can you touch on that for listeners? And
Yeah,
are you guys
so-
working on a workaround?
No, we're not, because we can't. So here's the deal. This part definitely is plastic. And the reason being is because in a 10-minute cycle, when you turn this on,
Yep.
for example, when I turn this on, you can see it's going to start 10 minutes, right? And you can see all the little amazing bubbles going in. Now, in our product, this is only hydrogen. In the other crappy bottles, the scan bottles on the market, it's oxygen, hydrogen, chlorine. You don't know what you're getting. Our chlorine is coming out. See that little blue light right there? That's where oxygen, ozone, chlorine is all coming out. This is just hydrogen going in. So, number one, I want you to understand that. Number two, when we are doing this, we will build up 64 PSI. That's why you push the top and release the pressure before taking the lid off. Otherwise, the lid could go flying. And once you do that, that 64 PSI is going to cause whatever this is made out of to flex.
Mm-hmm.
We have tested this up to 200 PSI. You cannot use glass. It would shatter. I mean, imagine being a customer and having this shatter. We have other competitors that make glass bottles, and people put pictures on our website of their bottles shattered.
Oh,
Can you imagine how horrible that would be? So number one, we can't make it in glass. We've tried. Number two, the plastic that we use is PPSU. What is that plastic? That's the plastic baby bottles are made of. That's an FDA approved medical grade plastic. It does not produce microplastics in our application. If you take breast milk and put it in a baby bottle, guess what? Breast milk is incredible, but it has these wonderful little things called enzymes in it. And those enzymes eat at the plastic. Well, good news is you're not putting breast milk in here. Please don't do that. You're putting water. And guess what else? You're not putting hot water in here.
Right.
So because the use of this bottle is room temperature or chilled water.
Right.
And it's not breast milk. I know that's surprising to you all, but we're not hydrogenating breast milk in here. We're just using water. With the proper use of this bottle, there are no microplastics getting in to this.
And I will say this, I am I'm hardcore.
Yeah.
So I've been plastic free for at least a decade. Because again, and you do a test on me, I still have BPA. Yep. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. You'll get it from Kane.
This is, I use this every day.
Yeah.
And people were shocked, because especially my clients at first, they were like, but, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, no. So trust me, I am not an advocate of using or overusing plastic.
Right.
I'm 100%. Don't you overuse plastic. We will never not be able to use plastic in our life. Trust me, we will have to use plastic. It's just reality of the life we live.
You limit, and you're in control, but this not the same.
This is not going to add microplastics. I promise you. You're fine using this. We've engineered it perfectly for that reason. So hopefully that can alleviate, and I don't know what else to say otherwise.
No, but I had to in good faith, bring it up, because
thank you.
Also, it looks like glass from afar. Yeah. And so I just wanted people to know that, in this, but I wanted them to understand that this is an intentional reason. All you have to do is hear that, but I released mine before we started recording.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Oh, and those that have the flasks, if it's not doing the you're still getting the hydrogen you're supposed to. But what I would recommend you do is clean this out with a vinegar water solution. You can do 50-50 vinegar water. You can do 2/3 vinegar to water, 1/3 water. You can do whatever combination, but if you do a vinegar water combination, even though the electrodes in the bottom may not look like you have calcium buildup, if you've been using the flask for a while, what you do is you go to the settings here, you go to the power, and you can see right on there clean flask. So with the vinegar water solution mixed inside, use the clean flask cycle and it will self-clean and disinfect all of the flask. And then you will notice that you're producing more hydrogen because you've cleaned out the system.
Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing too, depending on what kind of filtered water, what kind of water you're putting in is how long it'll take before you have to address that.
Yeah. I've been using this since January, and it's probably I've cleaned it twice.
Yeah.
But I'm using reverse osmosis or distilled water mostly in here. And so that's fine. But yeah.
Awesome. So we're at the point in the conversation where listeners know I am going to ask you for one step that they can take starting today to improve their health.
Go to echowater.com and order at least a flask or something else. And what we're going to do, unbeknownst to Julie, we're going to give you a nice little coupon code called Inspired. Inspired with a D, and that will allow you to get a discount in honor of Julie. So we love her and we love what she's doing. So use that. Go to echowater.com. Now, if you're wanting to understand the studies, go to hydrogenstudies.com.
Thank you. That is, you read my mind. That was going to be my next question.
Hydrogen studies. It is a search page. There's no products there. We just want you to be educated when you're bored Friday night. Get some little healthy snack and go study up on hydrogen. But literally, echowater.com is where you would get the products. And I just told you the coupon code. But hydrogenstudies.com, you can go research whatever condition, organ. You can parse the data by human studies, by whatever country. You can do it all. But I definitely would say that's the first thing you do. The second thing I strongly recommend is beyond, the normal stuff, of getting proper sleep and moving, like do something. Yeah, I'm not saying you got to go into a gym 2 hours a day. That could actually be problematic. But just move around, go outside, do some dancing, put some music on and dance, shake your booty, whatever it is that gets your body moving. That's great. But you already know that. You already know you should be doing that. What I'm going to say, the greatest thing, in my opinion, that helps someone become a healthy human is forgiveness. Yeah. Become good at forgiveness. And what do I mean by that? Don't hold claim on other people's lives for what they do to you. People are going to do horrible things, unkind things. Don't
let it go.
Hold claim on their life.
Yeah.
Give them forgiveness. It doesn't make okay what they've done. And I'm never saying, do not be around abusive people. Get them out of your life. You don't, when we learn in life, the two great commandments, love, right? Love others and forgive. Those are two great commandments in life. We are to love and to forgive. We don't have to trust. Nothing says anywhere that you're commanded to trust. Trust is a relationship, and you should only trust individuals that aren't abusive or harmful to you. So I do not advocate abuse in any way. Abuse should never happen from anyone to anyone, or animals, or anything else.
Right.
But you can choose to forgive, and that doesn't minimize you. It amplifies you. It causes you to be more healthy and to free your body so you're not holding on to that emotional content. And then choose not to be around them. Choose to release them, at least from you. They'll have to deal with their issues. Trust me, they're going to have to deal with that, but you don't have to be the judge.
And that's the one step. I mean, yes, get the flask, but also because we are complex humans and all of us have that underlying emotional stuff that we can either work on. And really the work on is the releasing. You said become good at forgiveness. And I thought, well, yeah, practice. Just keep practicing it.
Not everybody's good at it. If they're like, it's freaking hard. I hate that dude. Or oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's the practicing of it that releases and heals. And so, see, this is my favorite. That's why it's always my favorite part, because you just never know what somebody's going to say. And that was really, really amazing. And I will just say, for somebody who spends her life helping chronically inflamed people reduce their inflammation and really regain a full life, I have such gratitude for the work that you have done, and hopefully your wife feels like I do with my journey, that her journey has greater purpose than her having 10 years that really weren't great. And so we're really, really grateful that you dug in, and she was married to the right guy. And the rest of us.
It was an arranged marriage by God. So he was smarter than all of us. And I can tell you, I wouldn't have been that smart to marry her. Promise you that. And she, I wasn't her type. She wasn't my type. And here we are 31 years completely in love. And she is the love of my life. So
amazing.
Let's hear it for someone smarter than you.
We should, if we all listen to those cues. So,
yep. But she would say, I'm alive today because of this water. That's the impact it had on her. And that's the beauty of this, is that I probably would have ended up she wouldn't be around. And
I get it, because I was on that same trajectory.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else who's so happy to be 56, but I didn't think I'd see 50. So it's, it really is a beautiful perspective shift. I also want to let listeners know, and they can find out more about this on your website as well, but you do all kinds of educational webinars. And I mean, people who want to really learn, Paul is out there all the time, educating people. And I've learned a lot just from listening to you on other interviews, but also from the webinars that you put out. They're free. So I would say, also Friday night, although yours are Thursday, they're on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday night.
I got to take my wife on a date on Friday.
So Thursday night, listen to the webinar. Friday night, read the studies. It works out perfectly. All things hydrogen water.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Paul,
yeah. And, for those of you who want to know who else uses our water, Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, Joe Rogan use our water, Dana White with the UFC, the 49ers, the Raiders, the Dodgers.
So we'll all be elite athletes? Is that what you're saying? Or amazing interviewers?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll all look like The Rock. But, Kendall Jenner, the Kardashians, we can go on with a bunch of amazing women as well.
But more importantly, a lot of people who are really taking their health seriously.
Yes. Yeah.
And either wanting to heal or wanting to up level and are focused on longevity.
Well, I would tell you this. Those of you listening that have autoimmune issues, the reason all of these people who are famous have our water is because they got issues.
Right.
And that's what you need to understand. When I talked to Zac Efron years ago, he was on a mono diet for 10 years.
Yeah.
He couldn't eat
He's
stuff.
hardcore into health and wellness. Yep.
And so now he drinks Echo water, and he's like, you can tell anyone you want, I love you and I love your water, because now I'm eating foods that I haven't been able to eat in 10 years. And here's what I want you to understand. It doesn't matter how much money you have. All these people I mentioned have crazy, crazy cash, but but
if you don't have your health,
issues. Right. That's right. Yeah. And so money doesn't get you good health. hydrogen water will get you good health. And honestly, $2.99, right? $2.99. You imagine this is probably the least expensive money Zac Efron ever spent on health. And that was the thing that fixed him. So I would just say that invest in yourself. We do have financing. Oh, HSA and FSA, all Echo products on EchoWater.com are HSA and FSA approved. So you can purchase right through our shopping cart with your HSA money and your FSA money. Yeah. So that's the best money you could spend your HSA funds on. So thank you so much, Julie. It's been wonderful.
It's been such a pleasure. I have, 8 hours of other questions I want to dive into, but I promised it's going to be date night tonight.
Right? Yeah.
I promised I would let you go, but I really, really appreciate you sharing your wisdom. And again, just sharing your life's work with us.
Sure.
Because it's a game changer. And I will, full disclosure, I have been playing with hydrogen water in different forms and different ways for many years. Yeah. And this is really the real deal. And like you said, it ends up being so affordable. Yeah. I cringe. I hear my employees all the time talk about how they can't afford this or they can't afford that. And they all come in with their, Starbucks.
Yeah. $10 copies.
It's an investment.
Yeah.
And I say for the skeptics, dig into the science.
Yeah.
And then give it a try.
The other thing I would say, for those of you out there who have autoimmune, you probably have some other things like low vitamin D levels, and you probably have some other things. And so I founded and own EchoWater.com, and that's where I first helped my wife. There were residual things that I had to help her with because she had extremely low vitamin D3, so she ended up with long COVID. I had 2 days of COVID, low energy. She had 6 weeks, right? And that's because her vitamin D levels were low. And so what did I do? I developed a vitamin D light that will double vitamin D levels in 90 days. There's nothing else in the world. It's patented, and that's what we do. So I'm one of these guys that is so in love with my
He's
clean.
Not stopping.
No, I'm not stopping because I have another whole company in the light space where we take the beauty of the sun and we harvest the good nanometers and wavelengths out of the sun that truly change the body. And we've done that as well. And so we should do a podcast sometime on that because
and educate us on that and share that.
Yeah, my wife's vitamin D levels were so low. And she had been on IV and supplements for 18 months, didn't move much. 90 days later after developing the light, she tripled her vitamin D levels. And now she's like, whoa, this is so much different. Because that's going to affect dopamine. It's going to affect serotonin.
Everything.
It's going to affect balance. It's going to affect brain energy. It's a lot of things. But we can talk about that another time because that's a whole podcast on light, red light, infrared, UVB. There's so many things you can do with light.
It's no one. We need to change that mindset of the one fix, right? If I do this one thing, all my problems are solved. Most of us got to chronic illness with years and years of things going on behind the scenes. And we still need to address that. I'm still supporting my body in the other ways it needs. And so I love that you said that. And now it's out there, your invitation to come back and talk to us about light and vitamin D and all of that goodness as well. So thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Julie, appreciate it.
For everyone listening, remember you can get the links and the show notes and transcripts by visiting inspiredliving.show. I hope you had a great time and enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity. Did you enjoy this episode? Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to get a transcript of this and every other episode, just head on over to inspiredliving.show or click on the link in this episode's description. There, you can also find everything we discussed in this episode, including links and information about our guest. You can even send in your questions to be answered by Julie in a future episode. That's inspiredliving.show. Until next time, this is Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, helping you take your power back.